Bonjour à toutes et à tous, mesdames, messieurs.
Hello to one and all, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be with you today alongside the Commissioner, and I welcome her very warmly in Paris. This ministerial conference has just been concluded, organized by the French presidency of the European Council, made it possible to reassert the very tight link between the economic empowerment of women and the effective realization of equal entitlements between men and women. We all know full well that there are barriers, persistent barriers, to prevent women's economic empowerment. And countries, even with the best legislative will in the world, have never yet achieved full equality between men and women. But women's economic empowerment is crucial for their decisions across their entire life. As Gisèle Halimi has said, this is key for their freedom and enfranchisement. Now, I've brought together ministers this morning, and for each of their states, they pointed to how to improve professional freedom of women, which will lead to their full freedom. Now, I cannot go over all the points raised by my colleagues, but I would like to underscore one or two very inspiring initiatives that were undertaken by some of these states. The Czech Republic, for example, has launched a program, unprecedented, around 78 measures to fight against inequality between men and women and precariousness of women. Many countries can draw inspiration from looking after child health, and in Spain, innovative initiatives in health and access to women. It also shared its experience in parental leave. In a number of circumstances, it's still women who use entitlements. Many European countries are talking about this. In Finland, they wanted to turn this trend on its head. Often women who take such leave to make sure that men finally can now be able to commit to this matter, which goes to correct parenthood, but also to organizing professional and private lives of the parents. The Italian minister shared his experience going to pay transparency to make it possible in an effective fashion to make sure that there are a better level of information about pay levels. Transparency for women, but also European citizens more broadly. So, in a word, ladies and gentlemen, this is the spirit that prevailed over the ministerial meeting. Light of the initiative of Emmanuel Macron, French presidency, which is to promote a dialogue around that point. So the meeting helped us understand that we've all got to learn from each other, and it's in that spirit that we'll be able to promote our most progressive liberal measures in favor of women right across the EU. All about social justice, I feel appreciate. So prosperity for the EU member states, because better societies for women, also better societies for all. Therefore, it is a priority stated by Emmanuel Macron, the French president. I'm delighted to be able to speak for him today by saying that we are now ready to answer any questions you may wish to put to us. Thank you.
Elena? Yes, please. Yes, I want to thank you, Minister Moreno, and the French presidency for this initiative to assemble the EU's equality ministers with the goal of providing due attention to women's economic empowerment. As ministers made very clear this morning, every member state is facing long-standing challenges to women's participation in the labor market, and a variety of issues are at play. For instance, inequality in access to the labor market and in participation in different sectors, a lack of affordable and accessible quality care, and a persistent gender pay gap. That today I outlined the Commission's work to tackle these root causes, preventing women's economic empowerment. With regards to the labor market, last year at the Porto Summit, all member states agreed on a target of at least 78% of people aged 20 to 64 in employment by 2030. So this is a key goal, but it needs to be accompanied with targeted measures to specifically improve women's access. As President von der Leyen announced, the Commission will put forward a new European care strategy later this year, and part of this will involve revising the targets for childcare in the EU. And in the 10 years since the Barcelona targets were set, a lot has changed, and we need to aim higher now. So part of our work will be to look at how to improve long-term care, including measures to strengthen care services and improve working conditions in the sector. We want to improve access to early childhood care for children under the age of 3, and we want more upwards convergence amongst member states. Women's access to and participation in the labor market depends very much on available care services. So this goes hand in hand with the implementation of the Work-Life Balance Directive, which member states are now translating into national law. In addition to equality in access to the labor market, we also need to look at equality within the labor market. And at the heart of this is the principle that women and men are paid the same for doing the same job. So the Commission proposed to at least have transparency in pay so that women can see whether they are being fairly paid and enforce their right if not. So 9 months later, the Council reached an agreement to go forward with this. So as soon as Parliament adopts its position, the negotiations can begin on this legislation. So today was an opportunity for me to underline the importance of reaching a swift agreement. But it is not just the pay that matters, as we know. As we discussed during the second roundtable today, member states also need to ensure professional equality for women and men throughout their careers. This includes in the green and digital transition, which creates new employment opportunities. And this also includes in company boardrooms. So for 10 years, the Commission's proposal to have binding measures has been sitting on the shelf, so to speak. So it's time to move forward on a key file that will improve women's economic empowerment and help foster gender equality in the labor market. The Commission is strongly committed to this initiative, and we are working closely with the French presidency on this matter with a view to finalizing the negotiations in the coming months. Some last words on violence against women, which regrettably is not only a persistent problem, but has become more acute since the start of the pandemic, as we know. So this is not just a barrier to women's empowerment, but a scourge on our societies. So to tackle this, we will be adopting a legislative proposal in the coming weeks, and it will include measures to prevent violence, to protect and support victims, and to
Bonjour. Je n'entends pas. Je n'entends pas bien. Je n'entends pas ce qu'ils disent. C'est affreux.
because of course it is not the solution, but when you have all the other proposals together and the legislative initiatives, then you can see that there is a big effort from the European Union and from all the member states put together, so that we really work towards this union of equality. And when we are speaking about women's economic empowerment, it is of the essence, because you cannot speak of equality if you don't have economic equality, not least also, which leads me to the other subject of violence against women. We know that it is more difficult for a woman who is not economically independent to move out of an abusive relationship, especially if she's being abused by the person who is economically supporting her. So it is all connected, and once we address this problem of the gender pay gap, of this economic empowerment, we shall be walking towards achieving this equality which we are working on.
Absolument. Et vous avez parlé, chère Elena, des violences domestiques.
Absolutely. Domestic abuse, but there are also a number of countries talked about what they have in place to fight against sexual violence in the workplace, because we are very much aware that these violences do have geographical borders. Therefore, in the corporate world, women need to feel protected when they are victims of sexual violence. Thank you. Do we have other questions? Minister, we have a question from Michael, who is editor of the magazine Handicap. What about the rate of women with disability in terms of economic empowerment? Yes, that's a question that I'm very much interested in. Again, to answer your question, all of the systems that are now in place, because this is a policy of inclusion, and women with disabilities suffer doubly or even triply, because you have women who are also women with disabilities and who are also subject to domestic.
Nous avons parlé ce matin inclut évidemment les femmes en situation de handicap, et que ce soit les questions de formation, que ce soit les questions d'éducation, que ce soit les questions de sensibilisation. Nous sommes bien d'accord.
We fully agree with the fact that women with disabilities must not be ignored.
I would say most of all the question of accessibility, and this is what our strategy on the rights of persons with disability is really focusing on, in the sense that persons with disabilities must have accessibility to the labor market, to education, to all that makes them financially independent, which is the subject of our conference today.
Une question de Monsieur Patrick Pierre Petenuzzo.
From Samate Gostuli. What leverage does the Commission have to harmonize the situation across 27 countries, in countries where the culture remains strongly patriarchal and sometimes very deeply religious? This is an important question. How do we harmonize the system while preserving the specificities of every country? I believe that civil society is moving much faster than policymakers in the field of gender equality. For every European country, we are currently witnessing very strong demand in civil society and among women and young people, more specifically, for fairer societies from the economic point of view, but also eradicating violence and so on and so forth. So each of the countries which today presented systems in place, presented some very concrete examples. And why did we choose the issue of professional and economic equality? Because as Minister Dali was saying earlier, economic and professional emancipation is the first and foremost key to the emancipation of women. And the issues that the 27 countries face are the same. Unequal pay, lower salaries paid to women than to men. The fact that women do not have access to the same educational pathways as men. The fact that women bear the brunt of family and household chores. They have the mental load. They have childcare, the responsibility for childcare. They need to take care of the elderly and sick. That's the difficulties. The difficulties and discriminations are the same in the 27 member states. Therefore, we can work in an intelligent manner on systems that work, particularly in terms of economic emancipation, more women in management positions, equal pay, more women in the boardroom, more women in strategic jobs and within businesses. So in conclusion, 27 member states are indeed different. They may have different cultures or religions, but the issues remain exactly the same. And that's why we are working on the specific issue of the economy.
To thank civil society and also parliamentarians who put pressure on their respective governments, because they know the reality of the problems, because they touch them every day in their field work when they are working with the people who they are representing. As for us, we present a minimum which can be accepted by all member states, but I urge civil society and parliamentarians to continue doing their very good work so that we can always improve on what we are presenting, and that there is more acceptability by the different member states, because as you said, that there's many differences between the member states, but we are common in what we want to achieve.
Absolutely. Et juste une chose que j'ai oubliée, Monsieur Penenuzzo.
Another thing I forgot, Mr. Penenuzzo, I would just like to remind you of the 3 priorities of France in terms of gender equality. Salary transparency for member states to be as transparent as possible, to avoid pay discrimination in all countries, reduce the gap starts, of course, by the salary that people are paid. Second, have more women sitting in management boards or board of directors of companies, and that applies to all 27 EU member states. Third, struggle against sexist and sexual violence in the domestic or professional setting. And that, again, is something that applies equally to all European member states. There is no conflict in addressing that with determination across all member states. A final question from Christine Helsbauer from Financial Afrique. The empowerment of women in Africa benefits from many age programs. What about France? What key programs are in place and how is the impact measured? Christine Holzbauer, Financière Afrique. So I'll answer on behalf of France, not the presidency, but for France itself. What is France doing? Yes, what are the flagship programs and how is their impact measured? Well, listen, I'm here today as rather not as president, but as a representative of France's EU presidency. So I am not supposed to be telling you about specific domestic measures, but we could discuss this face to face, and I'll let my team get back to you so that we can discuss this further, because I'm not supposed to be doing this today. So my team will get in touch. No further questions?
Nous vous remercions de votre
Wonderful.
présence.
Thank you very much for attending
Conférence de presse, mesdames et messieurs.
this press conference, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's time to wish you a pleasant lunch, and thank you and see you soon.